Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jim Saunders. I've been a member here since 1993, and I'm your worship associate today. And on behalf of Reverend Dave Dunn, our religious exploration, Lexi T. Brown, and our music director, Alex Peach, and the greeters and the tech team, we're all making today's live stream possible. I'd like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalism Metro Atlanta North Congregation, which we call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with the wisdom to have the mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. Those words become particularly significant after this week. To nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are or who you love, or wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here. I'd like to inject a moment of levity here that I think we need. And I want to tell you the worst joke that Annette has ever heard. Every time I tell this joke, people laugh. So y'all can be my test audience today. What do you call a rabbit with fleas? Bugs Bunny. Okay, it's a dad joke. Welcome to those that are joining us remotely. For any visitors who are with us here, would you feel comfortable in doing so to stand and tell us your name and where you're from? Any visitors here?
We are Marie and Randy Bernard, and we live just down the street in Roswell.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome.
I am Christy Taylor. I'm here with my wife, Lisa Baker, and we live in St. Springs.
Welcome. Well, we're going to have some coffee after the service, so please join us and let us get to know you further. We have a few announcements. We have several adult enrichment offerings during the second hour, and they are listed in your order of worship, along with the youth RE schedule and some upcoming UUMAN events. UUMAN will hold its semi-annual congregational meeting on November 24th at 12 o'clock, with the community potluck immediately after the service. Please join us next Saturday, November 16th, for the Common Grounds Coffee House. It's held right here in this room, and the doors open at 7 p.m. The music will begin at 8. Sunday, November 24th, will be our annual bread communion service, so you gotta bring some bread. But you can bring baked goods that hold a family significance, that cherish memories for you. We will share this during the service. Pre-cutting the bread to a bite size is welcome, but not necessary. We now have an announcement from the coming of age youth. Martin and his wife Erin.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Martin Podorowski. This is Aaron Weston Podorowski, and we are so excited to tell you that in just 2 weeks, on Saturday, November 23rd, we will be having our fantastic spaghetti dinner. It's all for a great cause. This is our religious education and coming of age youth are doing this as a fundraiser so that they can raise funds for their program this year, including their end of year trip to Boston, the home of Unitarian Universalism. So this will just be an amazing event, great food, spaghetti with gourmet sauce donated from Frickin' Frack, as well as bread, sausage, and dessert, and drinks. We will have 2 seatings that evening to accommodate everybody, one at 5:30, one at 7 p.m. If We certainly are encouraging people to buy their tickets in advance because we think there's a good chance this event will fill out. So please go to the back of your order of worship, or you can look throughout the building. We have a number of these signs, and you'll find a QR code about buying a ticket. And if you have any questions about that, please see us right out here right after the service. We'd love to see you all there. I do also have a different announcement. We did, unfortunately, over this weekend have some emails and texts come out from spoof accounts pretending to be me, pretending to be Dave Dunn and others, looking for data on the church and looking for gift cards. Those, if you will see, I think looking at the email address and the phone number, that those were spoof accounts. They were not actually us. So please, if you see such messages, and you can look at the sender and see that it may not actually be officially from UUMAN, please don't engage and certainly don't do what they were looking for, which is sell some gift cards. So, in summary, sending gift cards to a scammer pretending to be me? No. Signing up for an amazing spaghetti dinner? Yes.
Let me just clear this up. What am I supposed to do with all these gift cards I've already had? And now we have another announcement from the Harvest Moon auction team.
I know you're very sad. This is the last time we're going to do an announcement for you.
Hi, everybody. Oh, these paintings back here, too. My gosh, they're beautiful. All right, so we have a number for you today. I have a first number, and that is when I was the outgoing, past president of the board, and we were working on the budget earlier this spring. We set our goal for the auction then for $22,000, because every penny that is raised in the auction is needed for our budget. That's not how we want it to be, I think, going forward. I think it would be a great challenge for us, a positive challenge to see how we can back our way out of that. But in the meantime, we had a goal, and that was $22,000. The final number from the auction is $28,716.
All right, and you see three of us up here. Two of us did not do as much work as one of us. And so we want to say thank you, Miriam, for everything you did.
Now, this is the time of the service when we all stand up and greet each other saying, howdy.
Howdy. Elbow. Come on, Chris. Come on, brother. Here we go. Elbows. Great to see you today. Great to see you.
morning's call to worship is by Lawrence McGinty. To this house, we come bringing our boldest dreams, seeking here the inspiration and strength to make them be. To this house, we come to bury broken dreams, to be sustained through their pain and discover new ones amidst their tears. We come here lonely, isolated from meaningful human contact, searching for warmth, closeness, and care. Needing to grow beyond plateaus of the commonplace, we seek here challenges and commitments of greater wholeness and deeper meanings. We come hoping for encouragement to shed our pretenses and to be ourselves. Filled with despair, self-doubt, we seek affirmations prodding us to say yes to ourselves and to life. Somehow, always thinking that happiness is out of reach, we enter this place trusting that what happens here will enable us to make and accept little by little, bit by bit, that happiness now, today. Strange place, this house. Here we cry, sing, laugh, hurt, dance, touch, survive, celebrate, grow, search, doubt, hope, rejoice, pray, trust, care, learn, think, wonder, be, become. Yes. This morning, to this house we come. And now let us light our chalice together.
Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring its life itself to threaten people. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in the world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. And we have one more announcement from Jennifer.
Good morning, folks. My name is Jennifer Ratcliffe. I'm one of the two co-chairs of the social justice team. I wanted to let you know that we have a really exciting program that we've organized with new members as our facilitators. It is the Youth Anti-Racism Curriculum. We're encouraging parents of young children to attend. There will be 6 meetings for parents. The teachers will teach the parents, and the parents will talk to the kids. This is all in preparation for a visit, a guided tour to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery in February of next year. The dates are November 25th, 2 dates in December, the 2nd and the 16th, 2 dates in January, the 6th and the 20th, and 1 in February. And we have also opened up the program to the kids in Primo. So it promises to be a really important, especially now, for our kids to learn about democracy and racism and classism and privilege. Thank you.
And now, if you are able, would you please stand and sing our opening hymn number 1012.
tomorrow is Veterans Day, November 11th. We'd like to take the time to thank and recognize our military veterans who've served our country. Please rise and remain standing when we call your names. Hayden Brown, U.S. Marines. He might be next door. Carol Crookston, U.S. Army. Lawton Etheridge, U.S. Army. Don Gross, U.S. Air Force. Lynn Hannon, U.S. Army. Mark Lee, U.S. Air Force. Arnie Moore, U.S. Navy. Mark Peterson, U.S. Navy. So, are there any other veterans present? Anybody? Yes? Lisa. We can't thank you enough for your service. We are grateful that you have returned home safely and you are members of this community. Once again, thank you.
Grandpa Rollins story time. If I could have the kids come up here. Just like you always wanted to be in the same. Okay, let's see, what have I got in my toy sack today? Y'all have met George. So George is going to help me with my story today. Anybody want to hold George? Yep. Because I have a Curious George story for today. And some of y'all have told me before that y'all have read Curious George stories, right? Yeah, okay. Well, anyhow, that's George, okay? Have any of you read this particular story? It's been, okay, yeah, because it's been around a long time. So it's a, yeah. So you know this story, so don't give away the ending. All right. Curious George and the Pizza Party by Margaret and H.A. Ray. All right. And I'll see if I know how to read sideways. Yeah. All right. Whoop. Oh, look what George did. He's making a mess already. George was a good little monkey and was very curious. Today, he wasn't just curious, he was excited. So excited, in fact, that he was turning flips and standing on his head. And of course, George being George, he's going to start to make a mess. He's dumped over the flowers already. I know, that George, I tell you. A little girl in George's building had invited him to a pizza party. George had never been to a pizza party before, but he loved parties and he loved pizza, okay? So he knew this had to be good. George, it's time for the pizza party, said the man with the yellow hat. Have fun and remember to be on your best behavior. George got to the party in perfect time. Hi, George, called out the little girl. But oh, what was all of this? The children were wearing puffy white hats and had on checkered aprons. George got a hat and an apron too. The best was yet to come. They weren't just going to eat pizza, they were going to make it too. All right, everyone will get a piece of pizza dough to roll out and make a special pizza, explained the girl's mother. There were many little lumps of dough. You can see them right there. But first, let's play some games, she said. Everyone went into the living room to play pin the pepperoni on the pizza. Everyone, that is, except George. Oh my. He was curious about those pieces of pizza. George thought and thought of lots of little pieces of dough were good. Maybe one big one would be even better. He gathered the lumps of dough together and squished and squashed them until they became the very biggest piece of dough he had ever seen. What fun! Maybe rolling it out would be even more fun. George poured flour out on the table, and he rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled with a rolling pin. It was messy work. First, he bumped over one of the chairs. Then he knocked over the sack of flour. Uh-oh. The flour looked like snow lying on the floor of the kitchen. George liked snow, though, but he didn't mind at all. Soon he had gotten the dough nice and thin. All right. Kind of hard to get everybody to see here, but okay. But the thinner it got, the further it spread out. Before he knew it, the dough would cover the table and the chairs and then George. Uh-oh. Without the flour, it started to stick to everything, including George. George stopped to think. Maybe the dough was better off in small pieces after all. Now, I want to stop here for just a second. Look at George. He's upset. He's made a huge mess. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That is the big pizza dough covering everything, because I want to mention a little bit later on, Reverend Dave is going to be talking to the grown-ups about crisis, and a crisis is a big, gigantic mess, right? Okay. George has made a big, gigantic mess. So let's see what people do when you've got a big, gigantic mess on your hand. Okay? George got a pair of scissors and began cutting up the dough into different shapes. He thought everyone would be pleased. Uh-oh, here comes the mother. George, what have you done to the kitchen? The little girl's mother didn't look very happy. I think it's time for you to go home now. How surprised and how sad George was. Look. Oh, my word. This is terrible. So, the mommy's angry. She's angry, yeah. Okay. Just then, the children burst into the kitchen and saw what George had made. George, what happened? Asked one boy. The other children looked at the shapes George had made with wide eyes. Wow, George, I've never seen pizza dough like that before. And the little girl, smiling, well, said her mother, if you can clean up this mess quickly, George, I suppose you can still stay to make pizza. The children all helped George clean the kitchen. He was very lucky to have so many good friends. As they worked, they talked about the pizza. I'm going to make a pizza that looks like a star, said one little boy. And I'm going to make one that looks like a house, said a girl. Whoop, look at that. See, they're all jumping in, making nice pizzas out of the mess. Once the kitchen was clean, the real fun began. All of the children picked one perfect piece of dough and got to work. They spooned on tomato sauce and sprinkled on cheese. They added lots of vegetables and pepperoni. The pizzas looked wonderful. One looked like a rainbow, another like a stop sign, and still another one like a balloon. There was even a pizza that looked curiously like George. Well, George, said the little girl's mother, the pizzas taste great, and thanks to you, they look wonderful too. Everyone agreed. It was the best pizza anyone had ever had or tasted. For the second time that day, George was so happy that he turned flips and stood on his head. Of course, it was a little hard to do flips with so much pizza in his belly. But George didn't mind. It had been a wonderful pizza party. Okay. All right. Well, I think y'all are going to head out to Children's Chapel now. And where did George end up?
Now is the time of our service when we share our joys and sorrows with each other. The joys to magnify them, the sorrows to share the burden. And I want to drop the first pebble. I was reminded this week that this is a place of hope when hope is hard to find, like it says in one of the songs we sing. So, this chalice is a symbol that was brought in World War II to show the buildings that were safe for Jews to go into, to be brought to this country to safety. What more better symbol do we need for now on the times we're entering?
Hi, my name is Amy Ricketson, and I've been coming here since July. And I have a pebble for joy and sorrow, mostly sorrow, but some joy. My dad passed away a year ago yesterday, and it's very sad, and we all still miss him very, very much. He was a lovely man. He lived a very good, long, lovely life. He was 94, and the joy that I find this week is that my siblings and I have come together and had lovely conversation about my dad and wonderful remembrances of him. So this is my pebble for my dad.
Good morning. My name is Martina Austin, and I've been attending since July, maybe June, I don't remember now. Anyway, this is a pebble of sorrow. When you may recall, in late August, early September, a friend of mine visited from Hawaii. He attended church with me one day, Buck Lacey. He was very happy to be in remission from cancer treatment that actually was not in remission, and he's now in hospice. And he's dying. And so this is my heart going out to him today.
This is a joy of sorrow, but plea. I don't know if many have realized the suicide hotline calls have increased about 700% this week. This is a plea. Please stay. Please be. I remember that feeling many, many years ago. It hurts. The thought to take an inhale is too painful to want to breathe. You're in a deep well. The walls are slick. There is no light. There's barely a breeze. You can't breathe. Be. There's nothing to hold on to. You're sliding. You have no fingernails left. No toenails. No energy. Just be. Sniff. A little bit of oxygen. The slightest pressure. There's some moss. It's cool. You can still feel. The walls are wet. There is still life. Please be. Please stay. There is hope. So when someone says there is so much pain, just sit with them and be. We're reaching out. We see you. We feel you. We hear you. Please stay.
All I can say is thank God for this wonderful church and these beautiful people. I'm Rocky Rydell, and I'm a member of the church, and I'm here also for a sadness for a friend of mine is caretaking her mother who has cancer, and she's going to be starting radiation, and she already is having a hard time eating, and I'm just hoping for prayers, good energy to help the both of them. My friend's so worried and so upset about taking care of her mom. I forgot to take a pebble. So thank you for any good energy. Thank you.
My name is Lawton Etheridge. I'm a member of this congregation, and I have a word of joy. Today is Linda's birthday. She will be years old. Right now, she's in the nursery. If you know Linda, she's always doing something for somebody else. How in the world she finds the time to do that and take care of me, I don't know. But this is her birthday. She has been my partner. She's walked in front of me. She's walked beside me for 63 years. And I love her dearly.
Hi, I'm Paula Watson. I'm a member of this congregation, and Jim and Melinda have said what I wanted to say. We are welcoming, we, the Unitarian Universalist Association, we are a wonderful denomination. We hope those who need us will find us in Atlanta and across the United States. We are here, and we are wonderful, loving people. So that's one. The other is more personal. I just have to say I'm grateful that my grandson Arlo, who is trans, is in Ireland.
I'm Duana, a member of this church. 8 years ago, the first Trump election got me in this door. So catastrophe brought me in, but love kept me here. And I actually have a joy. I've been scared of AI, but I said to AI, is there an app where I can keep Trump's name, face, or voice from coming up on my phone? There's 4 of them. We gotta work on this.
My wife and I are visiting today. Neither one of us have been in a church in a really, really long time. We got married October 5th, and it's been a new lease on life for both of us. This week has been really, really hard. It's felt like people who love us and show up for us would vote for someone who would be against our family. And we know that we need to, we knew we needed to find a community. She's from Texas and has been harmed horribly by churches, horribly. And I think it took a lot of bravery for her to come here today. So I just wanted to say the joy of having you here and watching you feel the love that's here. And I guess the joy is to find community and to feel the energy to be able to pick ourselves back up and do something.
My name is Kelly Callan, and I think we've been members, Miriam, the same time you have, I don't know, 13 years, something like that. This is on a lighter note in an attempt to help our mental health. A dear friend of mine, Miranda Philbin, and I, who some of you have met, who has been helping with our playscape and has a daughter who attends Primo School here, and a former High Meadows family like ours. We both have been working very hard during the campaign season, and we said, oh, what can we do that would be really joyful this week after having so much sadness and angst after Tuesday? And we said, we're gonna go get some retail therapy. But we did it thrifting, not doing it the naughty way or through Amazon. And it was so much fun and so joyful, because I'm so happy to tell you we went shopping for mud kitchen accessories for our soon-to-be new mud kitchen out in the playscape. And just the thought of seeing our kids and our adults playing in the mud and enjoying that kitchen, I can't tell you how excited we were. So we hope to unveil a little bit of that and have some of you join us in building what we hope is going to be exciting, not just for the kids, but for all of us to play in out there. So this is for the new mud kitchen.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Wilson. I'm a member of our dedicated live stream team. Well, we try. I'm reading today both a joy and a concern from David Pregel, who is attending remotely today. David celebrates a joy for his niece, Second Lieutenant Becky Himmel, as well as for his nephew, PFC Chris Nichols. So the joy for those. And David Pregel's sorrow concern is for those friends and family who were not born in this country, that were not born in this country or who are LGBTQ+. May our justice system protect them until this country gets its sanity back.
So these are for our youth. My daughter, so many of you know Raphael, but for those of you who don't, she was born in this congregation, dedicated here 20 years ago. She is in school in Boston. She called me Wednesday morning, hysterically crying. And she's, a young woman of reproductive age. Anyway, I think we all know all the implications. But in the midst of all this, we have a friend whose dog is dying, and they wrote her the most beautiful notes. And that just, they have compassion in the midst of all this. Also, in the midst of other things, our youth wrote some lovely notes to one of our mentors who has been having some health challenges, and they were also beautiful and compassionate. And so my heart goes out to all of the youth and what the implications of all of this week mean for their future, in a lot of ways more than ours, since they will be with it longer, but they are still hopeful and loving in the face of all of it.
I want to drop a pebble for a group joy that all of us here get to see these lovely paintings on the wall. And a final.
But wait. There's just one more from the chat. A joy for my new M4 Mac Mini, which I configured early this morning, from Steve Allerton. Let us celebrate the small joys together. How about that?
Anyone else? I dropped this final pebble for the joys and sorrows that are in our heart and are too tender to be spoken aloud.
Do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Bring your pain and sorrow and joy. There's a place for them upon the altar of life. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. This is a place of grace, a place of losing and finding your way upon the winding road, meeting and parting, stumbling and starting over. Every story is sacred here, even yours, even yours. So come on in and do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Amen. Amen.
Thank you once again. Writers Deborah Adele and Charlene Westerman writes, sometimes it feels almost as if God has checked the winds and started the fire, and we ourselves the field that is being burned. During these times of crisis, we have two choices: break down or break open. When I was a kid growing up in Pittsburgh at the time was the third largest center of corporate headquarters in the U.S., behind New York and Chicago. Third, there were U.S. Steel there, Alcoa, Westinghouse, Gulf Oil, countless, amazing, for a city that's really not that big. Then in the late 70s and the early 80s, the steel industry just crashed, cratered, due to antiquated steel mills, poor labor management relations, other countries dumping steel, dumping in that those other countries' governments were subsidizing the steel, basically giving it to us for free. Back in the 1950s, there were perhaps between 50 and 70 iron-making blast furnaces in the Pittsburgh area, within 50 miles of Pittsburgh. Now there are 2. And those are about 100 years old, those blast furnaces. My father had a small business that serviced the steel industry. My father's business went out of business in the early 80s. My brother-in-law had a nice, good union job at an auto plant near Pittsburgh. That closed in the early 80s, never reopened. It was a crushing blow to not just Pittsburgh, but Cleveland, all the cities along the Ohio Valley. That's when we became the Rust Belt. Luckily, I got a job with an engineering firm in Pittsburgh in 1991. And my customers were the industrial plants that went all up and down the Ohio River Valley, from Pittsburgh down to Huntington, West Virginia, which is about 150 miles away. During my tenure at this company, I was there for a long time, One by one, all those companies were shutting down, cutting back, dying. Often they were bought by asset management companies, you know, Gordon Gekko, greed is good, Wall Street companies, who would use the assets of the company as collateral for the loans they were using to buy the very company. So when the companies were purchased, they had like no capital left. There was nothing they couldn't invest, no R&D, no modernization, nothing. They were just on the vine, being sold off bit by bit. This went on all up and down the Ohio Valley. Although this country has always had an addiction to free or cheap labor, since the Reagan administration in the 80s, they really got good at busting unions, making them ineffectual. If they didn't bust them entirely, they were wounded. In my many years as an engineer in all those plants, I only saw one strike. It was at a aluminum company. In my whole duration, all those they couldn't strike. They didn't have a leg to stand on. If you drive down Ohio State Route 7 or West Virginia Route 2, which are on both sides, either side of the Ohio River, you will drive through town after town after town after town that is not even a shadow of their former selves. They were once booming towns that are just derelict. Weirton, West Virginia. Steubenville, Ohio. Mingo Junction, Ohio. There's countless of them. They used to be booming. In the 1992 presidential campaign, independent candidate Ross Perot talked about what he thought the effect of NAFTA would have on the country. He said, you can move your factory south of the border, pay $1 for labor, have no health care, have no environmental controls, no pollution controls, no retirement, you don't care about anything but making money. And there will be a great sucking sound going south. Probably some of you heard that and say that. Globalization has, by and large, made things cheaper for us, and it's not all bad, but it has had a devastating effect on manufacturing in America. Manufacturing means good, middle-class union jobs. Salaries one person could raise a family on. Manufacturing means ingenuity, know-how, self-reliance. Remember when COVID hit and they were advising us to wear N95 masks? And we couldn't make them. We couldn't make them. These are made in China. Lost my sermon here. I'm back. Ross Perot wasn't entirely correct, though. I mean, he was correct, but not entirely. Because the sucking sound didn't just go south. It also went east to Wall Street. People were making a lot of money, and they didn't have to pay any labor to do it, because they were moving those labor somewhere else. And they weren't sharing any profits with anybody else. That's when income equality got out of control. And many Unitarian Universalists were complaining about it back then. I'm not saying we didn't complain. We did. We saw it happening. The rich were getting richer, poor were getting poorer. Many of these policies have been boilerplate Republican initiatives for decades. Yet the Democrats were in on it too. Around 2010, 2011, I was visiting a customer in the Ohio Valley, and he said they had some jobs at the plant. They weren't good jobs. They were like laborer jobs, but they couldn't fill them. Why? Because they couldn't find anybody who could pass a drug test. they couldn't find anybody who could pass a drug test to fill some jobs. Turns out that Huntington, West Virginia was ground zero for the opioid pandemic. Purdue Pharma was the one producing it. And actually, the McKinsey Management Consultant Group, Pete Buttigieg, was a rising star in that corporation, that group. They were consultants to Purdue Pharma. They said to focus on selling lucrative high-dose pills even after the drug maker pleaded guilty in 2007 to federal criminal charges, that it misled doctors and regulations about OxyContin's risks. The firm also told Purdue Pharma that it could band together with other opioid manufacturers and head off strict treatment by the Food and Drug Administration. To be clear, Pete Buttigieg did release his clients when he was working for McKinsey, and they did not include Purdue Pharma. Again, many of these issues have been boilerplate Republican ideas for decades. But Democrats didn't do enough to stop it. Some looked the other way, or were in on it too. And over time, it kind of just became the status quo. Many people, likely many people around here who are relatively wealthy, voted for Donald Trump for the same reason they typically vote for Republicans. They think that he's going to keep their taxes low so they can keep the wealth that they have. Yet other people around the nation are devastated by what has been going on in this country for the last 30 years. People in the Ohio Valley and other places around the country voted for Trump not because he's a Republican. He's different to them. The people in the Ohio Valley, they hold the Democrats and the traditional Republicans, the Republican Party of the Bushes, Reagans, Cheneys, Doles, McCains, they hold them accountable too. They don't see Trump as part of that. We progressives need to hear and understand this and do something about it, because we have been ignoring many people who've been left behind for too long. They're not here, they're not in this room. The Chinese word for crisis is actually two words. One means danger, the other, opportunity. As progressives, what is our opportunity? The right had Project 2025. How did we view that? As anything other than a target to critique. Why didn't we have our own project? I think Kamala Harris did a great job, okay? But why didn't we have a project of our own? Newt Gingrich had his Contract for America, which we all loathed, but it was they had this thing. They had a project. Why didn't the progressives have anything? What would such a progressive plan include? Of course, we would include rights for the LGBT community, African Americans, undocumented immigrants, but that's not nearly enough. UUs are generally to the left of most African Americans and many Latinos. We're not even reaching them. They're moving to Trump. According to a 2022 Gallup poll, 37% of Americans identify as moderate, 36% as conservative, only 25% as liberal. In 19 states, conservatives outnumber liberals by more than 20 percentage points, like 60 to 40. That's a landslide. 19 states. That's 38 Senate seats right there. only 6 states. There are only 6 states where more residents identify as liberal than conservative. 6. And I hate to say this, but at the same time, progressives have been doing an outstanding job of canceling and alienating other progressives who want to be a part of their movement, but they can't seem to stand on the very small "I'm woker than you" platform that they've built. With the Gallup polls stacked against us, we'll never be successful building the world we dream about unless we stop canceling people and we begin to reach out to social conservatives with whom we can work. Could you work with Senator Josh Hawley, the guy who cheered those marching on the Capitol on January 6th? Could you work with Marco Rubio, who was a never-Trumper but is now a Trumper? Marco Rubio says he's for, quote, common good capitalism. He says, quote, our nation does not exist to serve the interests of the market. The market exists to serve the interests of our nation and people. Senator Josh Hawley said that C-suite CEOs have been making money on Wall Street and wreaking havoc on Main Street. They're not sharing the wealth. These ideas have a lot in common with Bernie Sanders. In fact, Josh Hawley partnered with Bernie Sanders as part of the COVID Relief Act to get, quote, this is from Josh Hawley, we need to get money into the hands of working people and working families. And Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders issued a joint resolution on showing solidarity with auto workers who are on strike in 2023. When was the last time you ever heard a Republican showing solidarity with union workers or saying, let's get money directly into the hands of working people and families? I have never heard that. I haven't. My point here is, there are some openings for us. There are definitely some openings. There is hope here. If Josh Hawley is working with Bernie Sanders, if Marco Rubio can work with Bernie Sanders, there can be hope. Personally, I'm not a fan of some of these guys, okay? But there's things that are happening. The traditional obstructionist Republicans, like the Mitch McConnells and others, they've kind of been pushed aside for the time being. And we might not like a lot of the people who they're being replaced. But in a way, there is an opportunity. Donald Trump can definitely be dangerous. No question. There is fear. That's part of this crisis. But in another way, I kind of view him as like a substitute teacher. You know what happens when you get a sub when you're in elementary school? Some people start to behave badly, and some of his team might behave badly. But also, didn't you talk a lot more when you had a substitute teacher? You're talking back and forth to your friends. You're not misbehaving, but you're talking. Because you know that the person who's the sub doesn't have a clue what's really going on. And that is Donald Trump. He has no idea what's really going on. He can be dangerous, no question. But he's a sub. And until the obstructionists come back, like the Mitch McConnells and all those people, you know, what they do, but until they come back, there's an opportunity to do some real good for some people, to find some allies who you might not agree with on many cultural issues, but you know, you might make common cause on some economic issues that can make a difference for people who've been damaged by 30 years of being ignored. those people who voted for not Republicans or Democrats, they voted for Trump. We can change their minds by helping them directly. Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy has been a voice advocating to reaching out for social conservatives. He says he's been saying that the Democrats simply need to have a bigger tent. Based upon those Gallup numbers I gave you, Democrats need to have a bigger tent. We, he's talking, not me, need to bring more social conservatives into the Democratic fold. Then we can have a better chance of breaking them out of the Fox News echo chamber that they're in, confronting their biases and prejudices, and winning them over. Keeping them on the outside in this siloed information gathering environment gives progressives almost no hope of winning the argument on social issues to Republican voters. That's a quote from him. I will add, and it will give us progressives no hope with voters who feel cheated and left behind by both parties. I don't know about you, but I am not going to live my life devoid of hope. This election is sending us a message that we should listen to, pivot into a new direction. And I admit I don't know exactly how it's going to work or how to make things happen, what that's going to look like. I do know that circling the wagons is the worst possible thing we could do. The worst. We will not expand our tent by doing that. This election is definitely a crisis, and it could get dangerous. But I believe it provides a huge opportunity for us to make a difference, to make some progress with people who don't think like us exactly. Some people here in this congregation have actually done this kind of work. We have showed up at Roswell City Council so many times, not to protest or bark, but to work with them. Many of our members have done that. They know City Council by name, and they're probably all Republican. I think there's one Democrat on the whole council, and we've been working with them as long as I've been here. And that's the kind of work we need to be doing. And Roswell City Council, they like us. They know we're progressives. They like us. They trust us. We want to make Roswell better, and they believe we're on the same page there. And they're all Republicans except one. That's great work, Gus, and others who've been doing that. Jennifer Philippi, others too. Crisis, danger, and opportunity. It can feel like the field has been set afire and that we too are burning, and that we're staring into the abyss. If we have a choice, rather than break down, I hope we choose to break open.
When we join UUMAN, we pledge our time, our talent, our treasure. Now is the moment when we collect that treasure.
We accept the sacred offering generously given by our beloved members and friends. May we use it wisely and judiciously in service to our mission.
Stand if you're willing and able, and let's sing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Number 10. And now say with me the words to extinguish the chalice that are found in the order of worship. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of unity, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Holy
filled with despair and self-doubt, we seek affirmation, prodding us to say yes to ourselves and to life. Somehow always thinking that happiness is just out of reach, we enter this place, trusting that what happens here will enable us to make and to accept a little bit of that happiness right now, today. Go in peace and enjoy your week.